What if I told you that the great emancipator himself, Abraham Lincoln, initially proposed a plan not for the emancipation of slaves, but for their repatriation? Yes, the 16th President of the United States, often celebrated for his role in ending slavery, initially had a different perspective. The Lincoln we know today is tightly interwoven with the Emancipation Proclamation, but there's more to the story. This might seem hard to believe, right? Let's delve into the history and find out the truth. To comprehend Lincoln's plan, we must first understand his early views on slavery. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is often remembered for his role in the abolition of slavery. However, his early views on the matter were more complex than many might think. Born in Kentucky in 1809, Lincoln was raised in a humble environment, primarily in Indiana and Illinois. These regions were free territories where slavery was prohibited, and this context undoubtedly influenced his views. From an early age, Lincoln was exposed to the moral arguments against slavery. However, he also realized that the economic and social structures of the South were deeply intertwined with this peculiar institution. As he entered the political arena, Lincoln's views on slavery began to take shape. He was morally opposed to slavery, regarding it as a great injustice. He once stated, "As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy." Yet Lincoln also recognized the divisive nature of the issue and the potential for conflict if it were to be abolished abruptly. His solution? Gradual emancipation. Lincoln believed in a slow process of freeing the slaves, coupled with compensation for slaveholders. He thought this approach would soften the economic blow to the South and prevent violent backlash. He also advocated for the colonization of freed slaves in Africa or Central America, a concept known as repatriation. In Lincoln's early political career, he often emphasized the importance of preserving the Union over the immediate abolition of slavery. His main aim was to prevent the spread of slavery into the new Western territories, rather than to eradicate it where it already existed. These early views on slavery, a blend of moral opposition and political pragmatism, were not static. As circumstances changed, so did Lincoln's approach. Yet they played a crucial role in shaping his initial plans for dealing with the peculiar institution of slavery. Enter Lincoln's plan of repatriation, a proposal that may shock some of you. Despite being heralded as the great emancipator, Abraham Lincoln initially had a different approach to dealing with the issue of slavery. His vision was not for a racially integrated America, but rather a country that was rid of slavery through the process of repatriation. Lincoln believed that the best way to end slavery was to send the freed slaves back to their ancestral homes. This idea was rooted in the notion of colonization, a term used in the 19th century to describe the process of relocating people of African descent to places outside of the United States. Lincoln saw this as a peaceful and gradual way to rid the nation of slavery, without causing a huge societal upheaval. He believed that the freed slaves would be better off in a place where they could establish their own society, free from the prejudice and discrimination they faced in America. He thought they could have a fresh start, away from the scars of their enslaved past. To make this vision a reality, Lincoln proposed government-funded initiatives to facilitate the voluntary relocation of freed slaves. He even went as far as meeting with a delegation of free African Americans at the White House to discuss this idea. The plan was to send the freed slaves to countries like Liberia and Haiti, which were established as a haven for freed slaves. However, the reception to Lincoln's plan was mixed. Some saw it as a practical solution to the problem of slavery, while others viewed it as a way of avoiding the real issue of racial integration. There were also logistical challenges to implementing such a plan on a large scale. This plan, as we know, was not what ultimately happened. So, what changed? The turning point in Lincoln's plan came with the Civil War. Yes, the Civil War, a conflict that would forever alter the course of American history, was also the catalyst that reshaped Lincoln's views on slavery. Prior to this, Lincoln had been a strong advocate for the gradual end of slavery, coupled with plans for repatriation. He saw the repatriation of African Americans to their ancestral homelands as a viable solution to the racial tensions of the time. However, the war brought a new perspective. As the nation divided and fought, Lincoln was faced with the stark reality of a country on the brink of self-destruction. The war was fundamentally about slavery. As it dragged on, the human cost rose, and it became clear that half measures would not suffice. The country needed a decisive solution to the issue that was tearing it apart. This led to a significant shift in Lincoln's approach. The idea of repatriation began to give way to a more radical concept: immediate and full emancipation. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued in the midst of the Civil War in 1862, was a testament to this change. In it, Lincoln declared that all enslaved people in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. This was a huge departure from his previous stance. It was a bold move, one that signaled his commitment to ending slavery, not just managing it. This was not merely a strategic move to weaken the Confederacy. It was a moral stand, a declaration that slavery was not just politically untenable, but fundamentally wrong. Lincoln's shift from repatriation to emancipation was a reflection of his evolving understanding of racial equality and the inherent rights of every individual. The war and the changing political landscape led Lincoln to redefine his approach towards slavery. And this shift, this evolution in thought, would forever seal his legacy as a champion for freedom and equality. Despite his initial plan, Lincoln's legacy remains as the great emancipator. His journey from contemplating repatriation to championing emancipation serves as a testament to his evolving understanding of the institution of slavery. As he navigated through the tumultuous waters of his time, Lincoln's perspectives shifted, reflecting the transformation of a nation on the brink of reinvention. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by Lincoln in 1862, was a defining moment in his presidency and a turning point in the American Civil War. This profound document didn't simply free the slaves. It transformed the purpose of the war from preserving the Union to abolishing slavery. While it did not immediately end the practice, it planted the seeds of liberation in the hearts and minds of millions, sparking a flame of hope that would eventually consume the institution of slavery. Lincoln's contribution to the abolition of slavery transcends the Emancipation Proclamation. His advocacy for the 13th Amendment, which constitutionally abolished slavery, cemented his commitment to the cause. Despite facing immense opposition, Lincoln persevered, his determination fueled by a belief in equality and a vision of a nation free from the shackles of slavery. His legacy, however, is not free from complexity. Lincoln's early views on slavery and his initial plan of repatriation remind us that he, like all humans, was a product of his time. Yet it was his capacity to grow, to challenge prevailing norms, and to alter his views in the face of new realities that truly set him apart. Lincoln's journey from repatriation to emancipation is a testament to his ability to adapt and respond to the changing circumstances of his time. His legacy, therefore, is not merely that of the great emancipator, but of a leader who had the courage to evolve, to challenge the status quo, and to steer his nation towards a more equitable future.